Hey guys, thanks so much. Thanks for joining me here. We are Beyond the Graft podcast, hair transplant podcast, meant to be educating our patients. Today we have a special guest, Faris. Hey. Faris is someone who's been through this journey himself, and he can tell us all a lot more about what hair transplant is. So, Faris, say hello to our audience, please.
Yo. How are we doing?
Glad to have you here, and thank you for making the time here, Faris. Really appreciate that. So, So, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, I love the setup. It's nice to be back, man. It's been a while.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to return and catch up with you, mate. I've just got back from Malaga.
Cool.
Been back in the UK for 2 days. I was in Cyprus the week before, and then Ibiza the week before that. So May's been very busy for me.
You got a busy schedule, boy.
Yeah, which is, I'm grateful, because summer is when I get most of my work.
Awesome.
Covering events, creating content, filming interviews. And we're in June now, so let's see what June has to offer.
Wow. What's your recent work that you've been up to?
So in Ibiza, I've started a business now.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What's that?
I've started a discount card called the Ibiza card.
Okay.
And I sell it for £50 to tourists.
Okay.
And when they buy it, they can use it as many times as they like, and they get discount on food, drink, haircuts, tattoos.
Cool.
Pretty much anything on the island that I can create a partnership with.
Nice.
And slowly but surely it's building. And that's what I'm there now. I'm going to be back and forth every month. In Cyprus, I was there filming content for a summer trip for a travel company.
Cool.
So I was presenting their videos. I was interviewing their guests. And then in Malaga, where I went just a few days ago, I was filming content for a lifestyle brand.
Cool.
My friend has a few brands within his business, and he sells products like e-commerce, drop shipping kind of stuff, and he needed some lifestyle content. So he flew me out, and we created some content, and it went well, and now I'm back.
Cool. Wow, that was a schedule.
Yeah, it's good, and it's never as organized as it sounds. It's always last minute. It's always like sometimes 2 days before I find out I'm going, but it can be very crazy, but I love what I do, so I'm just trying to keep up.
Cool. Wow. We have a job keeping up with you on Instagram. So it makes it extra special to have you here today. So I'm really grateful and really thankful you spending the time. So as you been through the journey. So this podcast we've been talking about a couple of things from medications on after transplant or before transplant, scalp micropigmentations, and some non-surgical treatment we talk about. And I thought it would be great to have you in here because you're going to talk about from a patient perspective. So we can all talk about technical stuff all day long and what transplant and other associated treatment. But it's good to have you in here. Maybe you can share with your experience on how, let's say, when you first looking at hair transplant, talk us through when you first noticed it and your story.
So when we first connected, how many years has that been now?
Whew, gotta be. Let me think. Was it about? Definitely before COVID. Right?
Yeah,
Must be.
Wow, 5-6 years.
Yeah, I think around that time.
Yeah,
around that time, and yeah, I think must be 19 to 2020, something along.
wow.
Was it?
It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
So I've always...
Did I look older?
You haven't aged a day, mate. You haven't aged a day. You look great, and so does your hair. Your hair's always been good, though.
No, it's okay, right? So today with the headphones,
Yeah. Trying to fit it in. Nah, it looks good. So I've always had thick hair, which is something I get from my mum's side of the family. I've always been told, you have thick hair, it's jet black, it's strong. But I noticed as I was finishing uni, going into like my mid-20s, that the sides were starting to peak I think they call it a widow's peak.
Sort of receding a little.
Receding, yeah.
Yeah.
I was starting to recede on the sides. And I felt very confused because I thought, all right, I've got thick, strong hair, but it's going back. So I wasn't sure if there was a solution to this, because I always thought that if your hair is starting to go backwards, that it's going to become thin and I'm going to get bald patches. But because there was such little information about hairline transplants back then compared to now, I didn't think that there was a solution. I didn't think that there was anything that could be done. And then by luck and chance, I think I found you online and we connected and we had a conversation. And when I came in for a consultation with you and saw that your whole business and brand is based around restoring hairlines, I was like, wow, this is exactly what I need. Because I didn't know there was, like such a niche for that specific issue.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of what made me feel like this is something that I might consider doing, because back then I didn't know barely anyone who would have one or had gone ahead and done one. And for me especially, like I was like, I don't know if this is going to be something that's a smart choice, if it's safe, if it's pain-free. But I have no regrets at all.
Wow.
It's one of the best things I've done.
Oh, cool. So 100%. It was quite a daunting thing, quite a big thing before you decided to do it. I mean, what is the biggest kind of things that sort of biggest thing from your perspective?
Like doubts and concerns. For me, I guess I wasn't sure if it was going to be the right treatment for me. Like when it comes to aesthetic or anything physical that I see people go through when it comes to procedures and treatments, I always think that the worst in my head. So I always think
like the outcome is going to be a different one. Or?
Like do I have the right hair texture? Am I the right age? Is there going to be something that reverses it? Or, I don't know anyone in my family who's had one before. So am I going to react badly to it? I didn't know if it was the logical thing to do. I didn't know if I was going against nature in a way to do it.
Going against nature.
Yeah. I didn't know whether to just sort of let it happen. But the more like a couple friends would make a remark, the more it would bother me and make me think I need to do something about it. And the biggest thing for me actually was I noticed that I was starting to hide it. Like people would say to me, oh, you're overthinking it. But I could see in the mirror that my forehead was starting to look bigger and my job's in front of camera. So if I'm not putting myself out there, if I'm not presenting, if I'm not covering events, if I'm not creating content or posting videos, then I know I'm going to get less work as a presenter. So I thought you could either address this or you're going to lose momentum with your career and my line of work. And, when you're self-employed and you work in media and entertainment, you can't afford to do that. So I just kind of felt, right, give it a go, look into it, have a consultation and see, what can happen.
Cool. I mean, did you find you were looking at it, and during your research sort of period of time, what makes you wanted to sort of choose myself or versus some of the others? So
when I was going through that phase of looking into it, originally spoke to you online, I did straight away know that if I was going to go ahead of this, it would definitely be with you. Yeah, 100%. It was more a personal concern about if I want to go ahead with
it or not.
But from the moment we spoke, I felt complete trust that you were the guy who knew who he was doing. 100%. And I mean that as well, because there's some people you can just tell are just marketing, and you can tell that some people actually care about their patients and the level of quality that goes into the treatment. And just even from just our first conversation, the social media and the website is separate, but just from the conversation we had, I knew that, you know, you were someone who wants to make sure that people leave happy and feel good.
Cool. I mean, now that you had the treatment, I think we done more than once. How does it feel?
Now?
Yeah.
Oh, like it doesn't even feel like I've done anything.
I mean, I look at your hair. I mean, I'm just thinking. I mean, where did we been? I mean, from vague memory, I think we did a little on the temple.
Yeah.
A little bit. We come down a little, right? On
Yeah,
the
we
temple
came
once
down.
and a little
I think we kind of went like
squared up
Like
a
that.
little. Oh.
we kind of went like that.
Actually, it looks quite natural.
Yeah?
In there. I mean, even when I'm looking at it, like
Yeah.
like this. And,
There's not many people who know that I've had one,
Really?
and the few friends I've told,
Yeah.
they can't believe it.
Really?
They say you didn't need one, or they say it doesn't look like, I would have never guessed you've had one. And they know people who have gone to Turkey and they've got like quick, easy, cheap hairline
yeah.
transplants,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they've, you know, got grafts taken out, and they say they can tell straight away.
I mean, I can also tell, but as a normal person, I can say, or patients, what can you tell? I mean, how can you tell it was poorly done?
I think from what my friends are telling me,
Yeah.
and guys who know people who have had transplants, they can see that the grafts haven't been placed correctly in some people's heads. Like they can see that they're not aligned in the right places. They haven't put the correct amount of grafts into the right areas and things like that.
Does this kind of look sparse or what, or just not right?
I think I myself as well have to be honest. Like I've seen one or two people and I know,
Yeah.
and maybe that's because I'm someone who's had one
Yeah.
done properly. So when I see someone who's done it the cheap way or the quick way, maybe I saw them early in their recovery time, or maybe they just got a bad transplant. But there's definitely people who I've seen, whether it's on a night out or abroad, and I'm like, oh, they should have gone to Mark Tan. And yeah, I'm just being honest, you know, like I think these days with stuff like this, you get what you pay for at the end of the day. Like if you want somewhere quick, easy and cheap, your hair is going to look quick, easy and cheap. You know what I mean?
What does quick, easy, and cheap look like?
Well, like I said, from what I've seen, there's
It's
some
noticeable.
people. Yeah, it's definitely noticeable. It definitely looks like they've been rushed. Maybe the person who treated them doesn't have much experience, or maybe they miscalculated the patient's head shape, forehead shape. Maybe they didn't go to the right donor area on the back of the head, and maybe they didn't place the correct amount of grafts in the areas of need.
Speaking about the donor, I mean, have you noticed much on the back?
So when we did the treatment, I know that we numb the skin, we take out some areas. Even when it's grown back, I've not seen any.
Like even your guy who trimmed it short for you, has he noticed anything?
My barber only asked me once when it was my first haircut after a treatment. He was like, "I'm going to shave the back. Is it going to hurt you?" And I said, "No, it's been a while. It should be fine." And he goes, "I can't really see any scarring."
Cool.
So that's a sign of a good hairline transplant, I think. If the barber doesn't know where you've had your donor area, and if there's no pain when you get a haircut and the clippers go over your skin, and there's no marks left, like, you know, patches, I think that means that someone like you has done a good job, because it shows that you have looked carefully at where would be the best places to take the grafts. And I've learned a lot about hairline transplants just from coming in. Yeah, just from coming in and seeing how you work and seeing other people get theirs. You know, learning about the donor areas and the amount of grafts and stuff. And I find it really interesting, you know. It's nice
my obsession of unnecessary detail.
Yeah, it's cool. It's you know what? I love people who are passionate about what they do. And I think when you see someone who enjoys what they do, then that passion translates over, you know, because it makes you passionate for them as well. Yeah. So I don't think I will be able to become a hairline transplant expert, but I can definitely, you know, relate to the passion for doing something that you love.
Cool, man. So this, when someone who is considering treatment, I think now we are seeing the final results of your, the transplant and transformation. In between, there's a lot of times that are a little bit of immediately afterwards, going to this weird haircut, strange haircut, short sides and back, and then this patchy in the hairline, and then the area kind of look red and swollen a little. How did you kind of hide? Did you hide away during that period?
The hardest times are definitely the first few days. I think the first few days are the most important to listen to your doctor, make sure you're taking the pain tablets and taking the rest and not removing the patch.
Don't touch the grafts.
Yeah, and watering yourself.
Spray saline, not water. Spray saline.
Spray yourself. Don't say it, spray it. Spray it. Doctor knows. Doctor knows. And that's one thing I remember reminding myself regularly. I was like, doctor said keep it hydrated. And it's easy to let it become dry, right? Because you just had surgery and you need to keep the grafts moist.
Yeah.
So I remember you gave me my goodie bag, and there's everything you need is in that bag. You've even got backup towels, bandages, migraine tablets, and the liquids if you need to fill up your bottle. And I felt like a gardener watering the plants, but for the plants in my head.
A new plant. Well, it's kind of like plant because we took it from somewhere.
Yeah.
We took it from the garden in here.
And the more you water it, the better it will grow.
Yeah. Well, initially only. So we only need it for the first couple of days.
First few days.
I mean, there was a bit of shedding couple of weeks after the transplant where the hair starts to fall off first before it starts to grow. And that how did you manage that period? Because it must be, because with all the presenting that you're doing, all the interviews that you do, how did you hide away, or did you totally stop work, or did you style it differently? How did you cope with that?
That's a good question. From my memory, I was definitely concerned about an important shoot or a big job clashing during the recovery period of the hairline transplant. And I think I was quite lucky with my schedule because I made sure that there was no big events or jobs coming up. So I made sure that nothing was going to get missed in terms of work. But I do remember the fact that I could message you if I had any concerns, and that communication I think is really important, because if you don't have that access, that direct communication to your doctor, you're gonna panic or worry about certain things. So I think it's really important to have that personal connection with your doctor and being able to just message on WhatsApp and have that direct response. That for me was another big factor that played into the whole I'm glad I went with you kind of thing. And
thanks, man.
when it was shedding, I think everyone who has a hairline transplant naturally starts to panic because they think, oh my God, is something wrong? Is this bad? Why are the grafts falling out? Have I damaged it? But it's actually a natural part of the process.
Absolutely.
Which you go over all the time anyway, before we begin. So we know that anyway. And I think for some people, it maybe starts sooner than later, but it's roughly around the same period of time. And I think it's just important to know for anyone who's getting a hairline transplant that this is a natural part of the process. And as long as you take the correct steps to look after it, it comes and goes. So, if anything, it's a good thing, because if you're starting to shed, you know that you're on to the next step. And then after that, you're going to start to regrow. And then the grafts will come through thinner and stronger and thicker, and eventually it'll catch up with the rest of your hair. So like anything, it's all a process. And I think it's all about being patient.
And when did you, we had more than one treatment, but just in your memory, so which point it starts to become visibly like, oh, wow, it's working?
I think for me, it was within about 6 months. I know it's meant to be 8 to 12 before you can comfortably see results. But for me, I think it was definitely a lot less. I don't know whether it's just to do, everyone's growth is different, depending on, how the treatment went for them. But for me, it was definitely about half a year, I started to look in the mirror and feel like,
yay, it's coming.
this is going to be great. I remember looking at it going like, this is like exactly what I wanted. And you the joy you get from seeing in the mirror the shape you wanted with your hair, you can't explain it, man. Like for a guy, I think for most guys, I can't speak on behalf of every guy, but for most guys, especially the hair part of their appearance is important. Because a lot of guys who go in bald, they either think there's nothing they can do, they admit defeat, or they just rock it, they own it, they shave their head. But for guys who, you know, pride themselves on their hairstyles and they want to be able to maintain that thickness, that texture, the length, when you get a transplant and the hairline aligns with your forehead in the way you want it to look and you see it start to come through, it's a very joyful feeling. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be part of the process.
Yeah, honestly, mate. You honestly, that's one of the best things I've ever done. You know, out of everything I've done in terms of my career or personal development, that's a big decision I made in my life. Like, you know, not many, you know, there's not often you make a decision to do something like that in your life. I think the way times have evolved, you know, if you go back 20, 30 years, I don't even think it was a thing. I don't even think, you know,
20,
30 years.
Yeah, no,
Do you know what I mean?
not in such a not in such a refined way. I think
Yeah.
it's more lesser on refinement. Back
Yeah.
in those days, it was there was surgery, but it's all way more aggressive. I think back then it
Yeah.
was flap surgery
Yeah.
or the strip surgery or
Really?
lesser refinement.
Less refined way,
Yeah.
right? And, you know, as technology is evolving, people are finding more things that we can do to enhance or improve or change our physical appearance, whether that's our body, our skin, our face, our hair. And it takes people like you to really show people the method behind it and to build that trust with complete strangers. It can't be easy. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you're a doctor who's come from a specific niche from an industry and you want to show people that there is a solution to their issues and you can help them change the things that they want to change. And then it comes down to the individual wanting to go ahead with it because it's something so daunting. It's not an easy thing. And I think it's about finding, you know, the right person at the right time. So yeah, like I'm definitely, I've said it and I'll say it again, but it's definitely one of the best things I've done. And for me, working in front of camera, always had so many different hairstyles and, you know, wouldn't be someone who would want to just shave it off and want to, you know, I want to rock what I can, you know, with the time we have, with the job I have, the lifestyle I have. So if I didn't get it done, I probably wouldn't have been able to, you know, look the way I look now.
What advice would you give to someone considering the same treatment, so hair transplant? What advice? Let's say you see your someone you notice that they had a bad. Actually, that's already had a bad transplant. No. If someone who considering, what would you say to them?
To someone who's considering getting a hairline transplant, I would say definitely find someone like yourself who they trust and has the proof to show that they know what they're on about and they've done it multiple times and they have lots of success stories. I think the biggest issue people have in this line of work is trusting the right person or organization, maybe because they've seen a horror story or they've had a bad result. But for something like this, I don't think people should rush it. Like I got quite lucky that I found Dr. Mark Tam, the industry leading hairline expert. But I'm sure there's many people out there who will try to brand themselves or market their services in a similar way with much less experience and far less professional capabilities. So I would say do your research, look at the case studies. The proof is always in the pudding, you know? No matter how well you market yourself or someone brands their business, you can always tell when someone knows what they're on about. So don't take the quick, easy, cheap solution. Don't just run to Turkey and go somewhere because you're going to save some money, because in the end, you're only going to suffer more and spend more time, effort, and money if you have to go back again, if you have to reverse a bad treatment, if you need to damage control areas now, or they've ruined your donor areas, or they've made your hairline look out of proportion with your forehead. There's so many things that could go wrong, you know, so you need to make sure that you minimize those possibilities as much as possible. And the way you can do that is by doing your research and trusting someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier on, there's not many people who knows that you had this done. I mean, do people not notice that, or people notice that, or do they comment on that, or?
I think one or two people who message me asking, oh yeah, who would you recommend? Or they've seen me pop up on an ad for you or something. Uh-huh. They're like, I had no idea that you got a hairline transplant. And I was like, yeah, like...
that was an AI.
Yeah. It wasn't me, it was another guy.
AI Faris.
AI is crazy these days. No, and I'm honest. I just say, yeah, I got it done a few years ago. Kept in touch ever since. Know the doctor very well. If you want me to put in a word or, give an email like a referral or something. But yeah, like other than that, unless they physically seen me on a social ad or on a testimonial feed on your socials. In fact, someone did come up to me once at a festival.
Yeah.
And they said, your hair is amazing. And I said, oh, thank you. And they said, it's the length, the style, the texture, like you're not even receding yet. Like most guys are receding. Have you had a hairline transplant? And I was just like, maybe, maybe. But I think that's a good way when people notice, if they think it's too good. Like if your grafts are not looking good and people say, oh, have you had a hairline transplant? Then that suggests that you haven't had a great treatment. Do you know what I mean?
Great work.
Yeah. Then
not so great.
Yeah. If you haven't
noticeable.
Yeah. If it's noticeably bad and people say, have you had a hairline transplant? Then I think that's a bad job. But if people don't notice most of the time, then I think that is a successful job when people don't ask. And the only times I've been asked is because people said, like, have you had one? Because you're not receding one bit. And that to me also is a great compliment, because that was my biggest fear, receding and the corners going back. So you bringing that in, I did read in the terms and conditions that, a hairline transplant cannot grab receding going further. It can only cover up areas that already have.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I was worried. Maybe I'm just going to keep chasing catch up. But luckily, the areas we covered seemed to be the only areas that were receding for now. And often in guys who are receding, I've noticed that it doesn't actually go all the way back. It's just the front area. So I would look at that and say that it's a good solution. All these other treatments I see now, like people taking tablets, being able to self-medicate from home with certain procedures and treatments and like things. I don't know how I feel about that. Because if it's that easy to use a shampoo and take some tablets, then I don't think those results would be anywhere near as good.
I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. you wouldn't be who you are if anyone can just buy some medical shampoo and it just automatically makes their hair come down forward and thicker and fuller. I don't believe it. I think obviously these things help if you take care of your health and your hair condition and you grab it early or catch it when you can. But I think if you want to go at the top best way to restore your hair, and it might take a bit of recovery time, but in the long term, I think you see the best results.
Cool. And this self-medicate is a big sector too, and it's concerning because there are people who talk about where you just on your own, you'll be looking on the computer screen and that person who send you the medications, they wouldn't know you as a person, so they wouldn't know what it is about. And if you've got any issues, who you talk to, whether the helpline can actually help you, or is that just a FAQ questions and that? But a good point in that, and I think there's some important points to touch on, because you mentioned the transplant fix the area that is receding, and you can still keep going. I mean, depending who you speak to, we in here, we try to be open and just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And you get people who talk about they might have a very negative filter, and they might see, well, you fix here. The moment you lose more hair, you be playing catching up, and you'll be doing transplant until there's no hair left. You come across those sort of negativity when considering hair treatment or that sort of thing?
With my experience, when I came in for the first treatment, I was a little concerned that the left area was falling behind compared to the right area. And
you mean receding a little bit more?
Yeah. And I felt like maybe we needed more grafts on the left side than the right side. But I trusted the process and just said that, you know what, just be patient. I think I spoke to you as well, and you said just give it time, because you don't want to overdo it and chase it either. Because you did remind me, if we start going too much on this side, then you might think that this side's falling behind. So you continually chase this imbalance. So I learned to just to sort of embrace the process and trust it. And now I've grown my hair out. When I push it back, I can't see anything. I think it looks fine.
It looks great, man.
Yeah, it looks great. Like, I look in the mirror and I would be my own first biggest critique to say that, oh no, I think this needs more work, that needs more work. But I've run out of excuses. I can no longer look in the mirror and say, Mark, we need to work on this. Like, it's perfect. I cannot moan at all. I could rock any hairstyle comfortably now. I think I could honestly, I could braid it, I could perm it, I could straighten it, I could get a mohawk, I could get a mullet. I think I could maybe even buzz cut it again soon. I don't know. Let's see. But I think when I buzz cut it, I'll get a better understanding of seeing how it looks from the root. Because it's hard now because my hair's so long. I can't actually see any gaps. Like it's so thick and full. Even like the scalp here, like it's just every part of my head is just full of hair. Like, it's great.
A lot of patients want that too.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, Mark, that I don't have to wear my hair in a certain way to hide like balding areas. Do you know what I mean? I know a lot of friends who like they'll grow the fringe just because it makes their forehead look smaller, or they will comb it to the side. So they hide the corners. But like, I don't have to do that, you know, thanks to you. Like, it's grown, it's taken a while. And I'm so glad that I did it when I did it. That's another thing I would advise people, actually. If you are considering it, yes, it's important to be patient. But once you know in your heart this is something you absolutely want to go ahead with, and you found the right person who you absolutely want to go ahead and do it with, and you trust them and they know what they're doing and they've got multiple successful case studies, just do it. Just book it and do it, because the quicker you do it, the sooner you go through the recovery process, the quicker you're going to get your end results. And, you know, like I said, you can't rush these things, but once you know that you want to do it, just do it. Because if you wait another year and your hair starts receding more, and then you've got to wait another 6 to 8 to 12 months to allow the grafts to grow and get thicker and fuller, then you're going to say, I wish I did this sooner.
Wow. Well, thank you for the amazing advice. And, it's always great to have you back in here, and especially great to have you in the podcast here. So thank you for joining us today.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure, and I'm glad it always works out with our schedules, timing always seems to fall into place, despite how busy you are.
And where are you heading next?
That's a great question. Who knows? I could be on a flight in a few days again. Who knows? You never know with me.
Well, it's great to share your insight on your personal experience. So thank you again, and great hair too.
No, Mark, honestly, I just want to say, like, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for this, because it's become so normalized to me to have this kind of hair. I almost sometimes forget what we've done to get here. And it's a big part of my image. My haircuts are a big part of my character, my identity, and working in front of camera. It's just a great way to feel good about yourself. So thank you for that, mate.
Thank you so much, Faris. Thank you.
Yeah.